Hi there, friends. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jeff Haniewich. It is 4:35 here on this Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Getting my days mixed up a little bit, but it is Tuesday afternoon here, and we went ahead and issued a weather authority alert day for both Thursday and Friday. We thought it would only be a matter of time, and sure enough, after looking at the computer models this morning and this afternoon, the impacts from Tropical Storm Debby are going to be here for us here as we go into the latter part of the work week. Okay, so the main concern will be tropical heavy rain and some gusty winds. Okay, those are going to be the two main concerns. Secondary threat would potentially be a stray tornado, and this is going to be a weather authority alert day that impacts the vast majority of us. Again, we're reasoning behind issuing this weather authority alert day is because of the impacts headed our way from Tropical Storm Debby. Let's show you Tropical Storm Debby, and you'll notice that we are seeing a couple of showers already from the extreme outer bands of Debby. We've had a couple of showers in areas south of 460 here this afternoon. Without question, the bulk of the rain still well to the south of us, really extending from near Jacksonville all the way north into Raleigh. This thing is not going to be moving much here over the next 12 to 24 hours, and then as we go into either late Wednesday or Wednesday night, it's going to start its journey to the north and will have a huge impact on our weather here as we go again into Thursday and Friday. So as we track Debby, Thursday, Friday, temperatures are only going to be in the 70s, between about 76 and 80 roughly. You need to know both Thursday and Friday we're going to have showers and thunderstorms around periodically. Some of the rain could fall heavily from time to time. Could certainly have some tropical storm force winds, especially the further south and east you go. In addition to that, there are still some question marks about the exact path Debby takes. Until Debby starts to move to the north, these question marks will remain. Okay, so right now with Debby not moving much, no computer model is really in huge agreement as to where Debby goes. I can tell you most computer models that we've seen here today have the track of Debby a little bit further west. Okay, that's not good news for us. Okay. So again, one of the reasons we did issue this weather authority alert day is because of the fact that we wanted to see if the next path from the National Hurricane Center would be to the east or to the west. If it was to the east, our impacts would not be much. If it was to the west, our impacts would be high, and it moved to the west, at least the current path from the National Hurricane Center. All right, so let's talk about the steering potential. We've got two areas of high pressure that are blocking Debby's forward progression. One is called the Bermuda High because it's very close to Bermuda. The other is a high pressure system situated over the Mississippi River Valley. The storm has got to go in between these two high pressure systems. But here's the deal. Because the high pressure systems are relatively close together, they're kind of keeping the movement of Debby minimal. Okay. Once these high pressure systems either weaken or move further apart, that's when you're going to start to see Debby start to move to the north. All right, let's talk about scenarios for Debby. Okay, right now the greatest scenario is this yellow scenario, or what we're calling it the central track. That would mean for us, we would certainly get wet. All of us would get wet, and we get a fair amount of rain. Okay, especially further east. The numbers would be higher east, less to the west. Could have some strong wind gusts, and the flood threat would be there, but it wouldn't be especially high. Okay, if this thing continues its journey further west, that's the worst case scenario. Okay, that would mean heavy rain for everybody for a very lengthy period of time, strong gusty winds, the chance for some tornadoes, and the highest flood threat. Okay, I can tell you that with each computer model run, these computer models are dragging this thing further and further to the west. We're not at the worst case westerly track yet. We're still favoring the central track, but you need to know that right now the current path for Debby has it going in between this red and yellow line. And the easterly track would be the best scenario for us, and that would keep a lot of the rain and certainly the strong winds and tornado threat well to the east of our viewing area. At this point, this easterly track looks to be the lowest chance. Okay, thinking that the yellow and red have the highest probability as far as the Debby scenarios that I'm just showing you right now. Here's the latest advisory for Debby. This is the 2 o'clock observation. Winds right now 40 miles per hour. It is basically just kind of spinning offshore of Savannah and Hilton Head. Okay, it is then going to emerge out in the water, make a turn to the north, and make another likely landfall near Georgetown in South Carolina. Okay, Georgetown is in between Myrtle Beach and Charleston. Okay, we think that second landfall for Debby would occur some point in time Wednesday night or Thursday morning. Okay, And then from there, Debby starts its journey to the north, going through the rest of South Carolina, going through North Carolina, eventually into Virginia. Okay. Notice the track has this thing going almost bisecting our viewing area. Yesterday it was going along the I-85, I-95 corridor. Now that track from the National Hurricane Center has it kind of going right through the central part of our viewing area. So the track has shifted quite a bit to the west. And again, that's not good news for us in the wind and rain department. Okay. Again, the time frame for us would be Wednesday we'd get some rain bands, but Wednesday would be mainly scattered hit or miss showers, a couple of thunderstorms. It would be Thursday into Friday where the bulk of the impact would be. The overall setup right now, highest threat for flooding for the rest of today into tonight will be across the coastal Carolinas into coastal Georgia. Okay, so significant to life-threatening flash flooding possible really from near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina towards Savannah. Okay, so it does look as though for the rest of today and tonight, the main focus needs to be on the coastal Carolinas and Georgia. Now tomorrow, that overall setup shifts the significant to life-threatening flash flooding a little bit further north to include Hilton Head, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, and potentially Wilmington. Okay, so again, really for roughly the next 24 hours or so, areas towards the coastal Carolinas will be the most impacted. We are going to get more rain tomorrow, and yes, it would be from the outer bands from Tropical Storm Debby, in addition to a little disturbance to the north moving to the south, and that could create some isolated, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms in areas north of 460. So north of 460 tomorrow, if you get wet, chances are it's with a front. South of 460 tomorrow, if you get wet, it would be because of the outer bands of Tropical Storm Debby. Now, the slower movement with Tropical Storm Debby is certainly going to aid in the flooding potential. This is areas in red where we could see anywhere from about 10 to 20 inches of rain here over the course of roughly the next roughly 24 to 30 hours. Okay, so the coastal sections of South Carolina into coastal sections of North Carolina, even inland towards Fayetteville, Raleigh, areas in and around Florence and Sumter in South Carolina. That's where we're going to see the worst of the rain potential here for about the next 24 to 30 hours. Unfortunately, as we go into Thursday and Friday, that moisture in the Carolinas works its way into the Commonwealth, and that's when we are expecting to see a whole lot of rain. All right. I don't want you to necessarily pay attention to the exact decimal points that are about to show up. What I want you to focus on is where we're going to see the most rainfall from the remnant moisture from Debby once she makes that second landfall. Okay. Once she makes that second landfall, copious amounts of moisture out across eastern and central parts of the Carolinas, eventually into western and central and eastern parts of the Commonwealth. Frankly, most of the Commonwealth is going to see a whole lot of rain from Debby here Thursday into Friday, not just us in Roanoke or Lynchburg or Danville or in Bedford. You go to Richmond, they're going to see a lot of rain. You go to Virginia Beach, they're going to see a lot of rain. And then we start to see Debby moving towards D.C. and also towards New York. So this is a storm system that is going to be impacting a whole lot of folks with a whole lot of rain and potentially wind all the way through the weekend. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the flash flood risk. The flash flood risk increases for us big time Thursday into Friday. Okay. This is the legend right here. Notice that virtually everybody here in the viewing area on Thursday, either in a slight or level 2 risk or a moderate or level 3 risk for some flash flooding. This is Thursday again. So Thursday is when we really start to see the rain and potential thunderstorms ramp up. Okay, so you need to know Thursday and Friday, we could see here locally anywhere between about 2 and 7 inches of rain. Okay, those higher amounts will probably be further east, those lower amounts probably further west, but you need to know that there are still some question marks with this track. The hope is that this thing is going to move a little further to the east, and as it does, potentially, it would not be such an impactful storm for us here, but we need it to move east. Okay, we don't want it to move any further west. As a matter of fact, along its current path right now, because it has shifted quite a bit west here in 24 hours, or at least the current path has shifted a little bit further to the west, our impacts here have gone up. Okay, but if this thing decides to go 60 to 80 miles further to the east, our impacts here wouldn't be very large. If this thing is taking the current path it's scheduled to take from the NHC or even move further west, our impacts are going to be quite high. And you'll notice, again, Weather Prediction Center is kind of saying we need to beware. We need to take note that the flash flood risk is going to be pretty high for us here Thursday, especially into Friday. And it could be in the form of flash flooding. It could be in the form of some river flooding. So we're going to have to keep a very, very close eye on those river levels here late this week, even into this weekend. On Thursday, when the rain starts in earnest, big time, there's not going to be much in the way of any river flooding. Okay, it would be more of a flash flood threat for us here as we go into Thursday. Now by Friday, when we start to build up on those rainfall totals, as the waterways start to swell a little bit, that's when we could start to see these creeks, streams, and rivers start to rise a little bit into Friday. And then as the rain pulls out of here late Friday night into Saturday morning, the river levels may still be increasing even into Saturday when the rain ends, especially as you go downstream towards the Dan River in Danville and in South Boston. So we're going to keep an eye on several things here. These are the threats that we're going to be watching here Thursday and Friday. One, wind damage. Yes, tropical storm force winds are going to be possible, especially the further south you go and the closer you get to the actual center of the storm itself. Okay. So wind damage, yes, trees could fall. And you got to keep in mind it's going to be a saturated ground. Trees tend to topple easier when the ground is wet. All right. Power outages, certainly possible. Again, because of the wet ground and because of the winds that could be on the strong side, that could topple trees. When trees topple, they tend to knock down power lines as well. Localized flooding, that threat is pretty high too. Okay. Again, I stress to you, Thursday, mainly it's just a flash flood threat. By Friday, it's more of a flash flood and river threat. And then by Saturday, no flash flood threat as the rain chances go away Saturday, but the rivers will still need to be monitored. Lastly, and this all depends on the track of the storm, isolated tornadoes cannot be ruled out. Okay. Again, I stress to you, it all depends upon the track of the storm. If the track of the storm right now goes right through our neck of the woods, then we're going to have a tornado threat. I'm going to show you the exact track from the National Hurricane Center one more time so I can kind of explain to you what we're looking at with the tornado threat. You need to know that when you are tracking a tropical system, the area of most concern when it comes to spin is the north and east part of the track itself. So if you were to look at the center of the storm and put them into quadrants, the northeast quadrant is the quadrant that usually has the worst of the weather. Okay. Trying to get back. Okay, this is what I want to show you. Let's put the track on here. Again, likely to make another landfall, we think, some point in time Wednesday night near Georgetown in South Carolina. And then it has it going potentially right through our neck of the woods. Very important to note that if this path comes to fruition, areas west of this D, which stands for tropical depression, would not have a very high tornado threat. Okay, so if this track is true, then the highlands and the NRV, your tornado threat is incredibly low. Okay, but remember I was talking about, it's along the track and just east of the track where that tornado threat is a little bit higher. So that would mean the threat would be a little bit higher for a stray tornado. Again, this will be Thursday and Friday into the Lynchburg and South Side locations. Okay, so that gives you kind of a brief rundown as to what we're looking at as far as the tornado threat. Again, if this shift is further to the west, the tornado threat increases for everybody. If this shifts a little bit further to the east, the threat for tornado goes down for us on Thursday and Friday. Also, if this thing shifts to the west, more of us see copious amounts of moisture. If this thing shifts to the east, less of us would have to deal with the potential for some flash flooding. But again, right now, all indications are, and most computer models are in relatively good agreement. You'd like them to be in better agreement if you're a forecaster. But I can tell you yesterday, they had this thing going anywhere between Bermuda and Johnson City, Tennessee. Okay, that's what the computer models were saying yesterday. Now, the computer models mainly have this thing going in between Bristol and Virginia Beach. The National Hurricane Center has actually closed its cone of uncertainty, is what this area in blue is called. It's called the cone of uncertainty. They've actually narrowed that just a little bit to kind of go in between roughly Wytheville and also Richmond. Okay, so if this thing takes the path that it's currently scheduled to take, bisecting our viewing area, a lot of rain and wind is headed our way. Current time is 4:50. We're going to be back here at 5 o'clock with our, we'll be back here at 6 o'clock with our 6 o'clock newscast. We have the Olympics going on right now on WSLS, so we haven't had a 5 or 5:30 for the duration of the Olympics. We'll be back here in about an hour and 10 minutes from now, of course, with the latest run from the National Hurricane Center on Debby. And of course, we'll talk a little bit more about what to expect here over the next couple of days. In the meantime, today is pretty quiet, a couple of showers here or there. Clouds have arrived, and the clouds are going to be stubborn here for the next several days. Have a great night, everybody.